Thanks everyone for showing up. I'm Kyle Yunkin. I am our product owner. I almost said director of customer success. I'm our
I know.
product owner here at Gallus. With me is our director of customer success, Matt Caden.
Hello.
This is episode one of our 2023 Pro Tips series. We're
Third
doing
year.
5 episodes this year. Yeah.
Third year running.
So
Wow.
third year running and we're excited to get going. So here, let me just walk you through real quick what the Pro Tips series is all about. Our goal with this is we want to try to give you some quick 30-minute or less webinars on some features that are more kind of like super user features of our system. I mean, obviously, there's like the entry level stuff like sending a push notification and adding a button to your home screen. But some of these features we've noticed that are clubs will use them and it makes them more successful, I guess, for lack of a better way of saying that. Um, so we're going to walk through that. We're going to try to inspire you a little bit, maybe show you some things that you hadn't thought about before that you could possibly do in your app. And we're also going to post all of these recordings to YouTube as well. So again, we know everybody's busy. We're getting ready for 2023 and the season and all of that good stuff. So if you can't make it to one, no worries at all. We'll email it out to you and you can check out the link. But the value of coming to them is we're here live and we're here to answer your questions too. So speaking of that, you'll notice there's a Q&A box or a chat box. No, it is Q&A in the top left of your window. If a question comes up as we're talking about something, feel free to pop it in there and we'll either answer it like if we're still on the subject or we'll get to them all at the end in our Q&A section too. So I'll flip it over to Matt here. He's going to tell you about what we're talking about today.
Perfect. Thanks, Kyle. So in that chat, I put in the slides for today so anybody can download them and take a look. It's not going to be as super helpful as normal because we're going to be doing a live demo today. What Kyle's going to be kind of spearheading, but it is nice just to have those as well in case you see something you wanted to save. Plus, like he said, we're going to have this video available on YouTube. In the future, we're going to send out a link to that in an email, and it's going to be posted to our YouTube page. So don't forget to like and subscribe and smash that like button, as all the kids say now these days. So anyway, today we're going to be basically talking about just our tournament software in general and a little bit of background on where we're at and what's kind of going on. We're going to show you the most important part, which is the user experience, which is how a golfer at your club can join an event or a tournament and start scoring, and then put his scores in. And that's kind of the whole goal, is to hopefully have them enter their scores for you so you don't have to do it at the end. So we're going to show you how that works. And then we're also going to talk about all the new stuff that we have that just got released this year or at the end of last year, some of it, some new scoring formats, handicap upgrades for Gin, and a really cool push integration. And then if we have time and if there's any questions, we can get to some Q&A at the end. So I'm going to jump right into really just talking about like our tournament software has been around for a while. This is our first big kind of upgrade that we've done, and we're going to be, spoiler alert, talking about our league upgrade to the software next, or in 2 weeks, in our next episode 2 of this year. So stick around. If you guys have already basically signed up for this webinar, you're already going to get reminders for all the upcoming ones this year. So you'll automatically get a reminder in 2 weeks to like show up for that one. And you'll also be on the list to be getting emails for the recordings after the fact if you can't make it. So this one's just going to be about regular, like single tournaments. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to jump into the user experience. So we try to make this as simple as possible. We're not, there's no passwords or no GGID like Golf Genius, or, you don't, like, our new slogan for our software should be, you don't have to be a genius to use it. That's what we like to joke about around here. But so so as long as you have your event set up correctly, which Kyle's going to show you how to, from start to finish, like set up an event and have it like be able to run in your app. So as long as the event is already set up and it's like going to run, It won't show up anywhere in your app until the day of the event. That's something that if you want to test it to make sure it's working or that it looks right, you just have to change the date of the event to today's date, and then it will start popping up in your app. So as you can see on the left-hand side, it will pop up as a banner on the right above the buttons that says either today's events if you have more than one event running, or it'll just have the name of the event if it's just one event. As you can see, this is the only time in your app you will have two banners. The banner above is typically a featured news item. Usually you can only have one featured news item at a time. So it's the only time that you can have two banners is because you already have a featured news that's still there, and then you have your event that's running currently for the day. These events, no matter what time of day you have the event start, they pop up immediately, like at midnight. So it doesn't matter if it starts at 8 a.m. or 10 p.m. They're all going to be just showing up just so they're easier to see in case that way people can click into them and see them early. So they doesn't have to be like right at the exact time. So as you can see here, when you click on today's events, we're going to be clicking on Club Championship qualifying, which is the bottom event there. Or obviously, if somebody clicks on it just by accident, they can click "I'm not in this event," and then it'll just take them to the regular scorecard. Or if they click on the scorecard, it will still prompt them, "Hey, are you playing in this event today?" Just to like, in case they didn't realize that there was banner, they just went into the scorecard to try to find it there. So multiple ways to get there, trying to make it as easy as possible. So then what happens is you will like have a list of all your names. You can set up how you organize the list on the back end, whether it's first name, last initial, all that stuff. But it basically has alphabetized and whatever order you want. You click on your own name. So today I am Philip Rivers, who actually lives not that far from me in Alabama. He's coaching the local high school down the street. So um, I am Philip Rivers today. So when I click on Philip Rivers, it's going to pull up all of the people in my group that I'm playing with, that in my pairing or my group that I set up in the back end. So this is an individual event. So in an individual event, every person can score for themselves individually, or I can choose up to all four people in my group, and it's just my one phone can score for everybody, which just makes it easy. So you only need one score person per group. So, but on in this example, I unchecked the top two people, and I only checked the bottom person, Ladanian Tomlinson, LT. So me and him, I'm going to score for him, and that's it. And the other two people are going to score for themselves. Maybe we're even if it's a two-man, like maybe we're playing a two-man thing or something. But if it's a team event, the team it'll just show all the names of the team, especially if it's a scramble. But you can only have one score person per team. Um, so that's the difference between team and an individual. So the individual, you can select yourself and everybody, or just yourself and one other, or any combination in between. So then all I got is going to show my start time and my start hole at the top. Whether it's a shotgun, it'll show me my start hole, or if it's a tee time, it'll show me what my tee time is and it's start hole 1 or 10 or whatever it is. So then all I have to do is click confirm to start. And then it takes me to my regular GPS and scorecard, just as I was using the app normally for like a regular round, where I can, me as the user, can still use the GPS if I need to. I can, look at the, how far away I am from the bunker. I can zoom in on different places. I can still track my shots with the shot tracker, still view pro tips in the little I button at the bottom. And you also have in the very bottom left corner the leaderboard, which doesn't take you to just the overall monthly leaderboard like it normally does. It's going to take you to this event specific leaderboard. So that way, everybody else that's live scoring can follow along. You can see exactly where you stand right now. So if I'm on a hole 5, I can see, man, I'm only 2 strokes back. I can step it up and try to win this or whatever. So, but as you can see, when I then click record scores, it pops just me and the person I picked, LT, the score for. I can choose, our score for each hole and then click submit. And then it takes me to the next hole. It should start me on the correct hole that I'm starting on, whether it's hole 1 or 10 or whatever. The one thing that it will also do, you don't have to use the GPS. You can just, every time it clicks the next hole, just hit record strokes, or, vice versa. If I'm playing, but somebody else is recording my strokes, I can still just use the GPS on my own as well. I just have to open a regular scorecard and use the GPS if I want to. So this tries to make it really easy. And then at the very end of the round, the only thing that it does is once you have put in all 18 or 9, however many holes you're playing for this event, it's going to ask you to confirm your score to basically lock it in so that nobody else can make changes to it. The only person that can would be you as the admin that has access to the back end of the manager dashboard to be able to go in and make any edits and changes after the fact. So but that's the user experience. Pretty simple, pretty easy. We try to make it as simple as possible for people to just join and start playing right away. So I'm going to kick back to Kyle.
Thanks, Matt. So if you're someone that's used our tournament software before, you were probably sitting there that whole time going, I thought this was about what's new. We've always had that experience, and we're really proud of. I mean, Matt was talking about how simple the user experience is and how intuitive it is. We're proud of making it that way. But what we wanted to do from a product design standpoint was also focus on your guys' experience when you're setting up the event, making things simple, trying to cut corners where we can so that just makes it a really direct setup experience so that you can get all the data in there and then get back to like being in the real world, managing a facility, going out and doing all that stuff. So, like we mentioned before, we're going to do a live demo of everything that's new. But first, I want to give you just a quick bird's eye view of like what we changed. So, first of all, we added two new scoring formats. Well, I guess technically we added three new scoring formats. We always had a one best ball format, but we added a two and a three best ball out of the team. And we also added a modified Stableford option, which again, we had a Stableford option, but it was set to just like be a standard Stableford. And we got feedback from people that it would be really nice to be able to designate like how many points you get for um, two over par, one over par, even, etc. So when you'll see in a second when you select it, basically it will give you a field where you can indicate how many points each one is. The next thing we said was, well, what's one of our most used features that people really love? Push notifications, being able to communicate directly to your user base. We said, why don't we integrate push notifications to our tournament software to make it really simple to communicate with everyone? So we did. We added that functionality. We've always had a GIN integration for pulling indexes, but there were some tweaks we needed to make it a little more effective. Without getting too into the weeds on it, basically, when you would input somebody's GIN number last year or any year before that, it would go to GIN's API, find their index at that moment, and then calculate their course handicap. The problem is if you were maybe a person like me who's a preparer and we're in there 2 weeks before the event, their index with the new world handicap system could have changed many, many times until the actual day of the round. So we added a button that I will show you where you can click it on the day of the round and it will grab everybody's updated index on that morning so that everybody has the correct course handicap calculation done. So that's a massive improvement that we're really excited about. And then finally, speaking of handicaps, we wanted to take it a step further with the GIN integration and give you guys some more features there. So one thing that we heard was it would really be nice to add a T-box assignment to each person. So you now can actually go in there and do that. And then when you use the GIN integration, it'll calculate the proper slope and rating for the course, and also a handicap allowance that you could automatically shave off a set percentage from everybody's course handicap to maybe squish those down and limit sandbagging. So we added that in there as well. So enough talking about it. Not at Q&A yet. A little excited. I'm going to walk you through this. So here we are. We're in the Gallus admin dashboard, manager.gallusgolf.com. I'm going to click on the events tab. That's another change, actually. We changed it from being tournaments to events. I'll make it a little bit bigger here. When you get in here and you want to set up an event, you're going to hit create event at the top right, which will take you to the setup page. Now, Matt mentioned before that we're going to be talking about leagues next week. So stay tuned for that one. We'll also do a demo so you can see how that functionality works. But for today, I'm going to set up maybe like a scramble event. I'll just call it a charity scramble. I'm going to have my field be teams. It's going to be a scramble. And my scoring, you know what, actually, let's make it a charity let's make it a charity best ball because we want to make it actually a net scoring format. So I'm going to say the scoring is going to be net, and then you'll notice a little handicap allowance field now pops up. So here I am going to control what percentage calculation we take off. So say I want to do maybe like 80% of handicap for people, I can input that in and that will automatically shave it off of everybody's course handicap. As I'm talking about this, I'm realizing I got a step ahead of myself. I also wanted to show you the new scoring formats. So you'll notice here that there's a 2 and a 3 best ball option right there. And additionally, if you were to do an individual scoring format and select Stableford, lo and behold, there's now a field for each value where you can actually input. You can say, you know what, actually, I want even par to be 3 points, so on and so forth, and it'll adjust them automatically. Let's get back on track here. I'm going to go back to teams. I'm going to make this a 1 best ball. So now I am going to set up my rounds. I'm just going to do a round for maybe today. Maybe I'll do it for tomorrow just to prep. And I'll do it on Whiskey Barrel North. And this tee box field right here is going to be my default tee for the entirety of the event. I'm actually going to adjust this to be a team and individual so you can see what that tee box field looks like as well. So the tee box will be blue as a default, and I'm going to make it shotgun. I'll hit add. If I were to add more rounds, I could here. From here, we could add more things like logos and rules, but I'll hit continue for our purposes, and that will get us in to the event. So this is the checklist page that we all know and love. We did make a couple of tweaks to make it a little bit more clear that you can use like the spreadsheet and the online registration options. But first, I want to show you the push notification integration. So if you hit into players right here, there's of course no players in here yet, but there is a send push notification button. I want to explain a little bit about how this functionality works. So when you hit send push notification, it's going to actually take you to the compose push notification screen with a targeted push notification selected. If you're familiar with our targeted push notifications functionality, what we're doing is we're actually using the email address that the person has inputted in their profile to be, we call it a unique identifier. It's basically our way of being like, that is the same person. So what I mean is like, if we have the app open here, at the top right, I can hit this profile silhouette and hit the gear icon, and that'll take me to the profile screen. And if I have, you know, like I'm Kyle, so if I'm Kyle at gallusgolf.com
Or Kyle?
here,
I forgot you were Kyle.
nice to meet you.
I know.
Then if I were to type in Kyle at gallusgolf.com here, that's going to basically find my app and then send me that targeted push notification. So I guess what I'm really getting at here is when you're setting up your event, you want to take the time to input everybody's email address. There's a couple of different ways that you can do it. The most common way that people use is the spreadsheet template option. This will give you a template that you can use. You download it. I actually prepped one here so just so you could see what it looks like. It has different columns for each value that we're looking for. So for instance, the start hole and what team name they are, what flight they're in. But you can see there is actually an email column, so you can put their emails in and that will transfer. You can also input their GIN numbers here, and that will help you out with the handicaps later on, of course. So I'm going to actually just download this to an XLSX file, and then I'm just going to drag it right in, hit import. That will take a second to load, and you'll notice once it does, it's going to take me back to the checklist page where everything should be good to go. Looks like we have a couple players with no entered handicap. That's because I didn't have a handicap value for those players. So, a couple other things that I outlined before. One, the update gen button. So you'll notice now there's an update gen button on the player screen. If I hit this, it will tell me the last time it was updated, just so you know how accurate those handicaps are. And I can hit update now. When it does, it'll take a second to load. And then once it's good, it will have everybody's handicap reloaded there. The ones with a Jin icon next to them, the green means that their account with Jin is in good standing. If it's red, that means that they need to renew, basically. So that's just a quick check that you can do on that. A couple other things I mentioned, the T box. So you'll remember that I set blue as our default T. So if we have some people that are on a different T by default, we want to maybe move Brad over to the white tee. We want to come down and have Heath Bell be on gold, so on and so forth. We can just change it.
And notice how when you change Brad to white, it changes his handicap from 16 to 13 automatically because it adjusts.
Yeah,
T-box.
good point. Yeah. Good point. Yeah, so because he had his gen number inputted, so you can see that the automation it makes it a little bit simpler for that. And then lastly, we've got our handicap field and we've got our adjusted handicap. It's actually a bad example because I think I put the individual one at 100%. But if I had the adjusted handicap, the handicap allowance, like I was mentioning before, that would give you the adjusted value here, and we would use this column to take their strokes off accordingly. So those are the main changes that you can do within the tournament software. You know, I really talked a lot about the spreadsheet upload method, but there are other methods that you can use. You could use an online registration portal to actually take people's registration in. Matt just posted a link to our webinar that we did last year, all about online registration. If you are interested in learning more about that, so you can check that out. And then the other method you could, of course, do to get people in here is you could just manually input people. Like you can come in and hit add, and then it will give you fields where you can add people in too. So a couple different options.
It's great for day of the event, or if you're just making one or two quick edits. Typically, don't recommend that for like a 144 field people.
Yeah. One thing that I saw was Rick, you were asking about, is there an option to manually enter the handicaps? Yes. Good point. I talked a lot about Jen, but you can see here that I can actually come in and I can input course handicap. So important to specify that this is like the fully calculated slope and rating taken into account course handicap that you're inputting. This is, yeah. So that's why they're all whole numbers. People are always asking us like, why can't I do a decimal? Well, that's why, because it's the exact number of strokes that they're going to get on their round.
So a good point to make, Kyle, is that the T box only really affects the handicap adjustment, the calculations for Jin. It doesn't affect if you put in a manual handicap. It's not gonna. It doesn't matter what T box you select for that person. It's not gonna adjust the handicap because it assumes that you already manually adjusted it for them. So you don't have to go in and actually click on each person to change it if you don't want to, other than the fact that you just want to keep it straight and know who's playing what T box. But realistically, they don't see this. They don't get. It's not. They don't know which T box they're playing. They can play wherever they want, and the GPS on their phone tells lets them play wherever. It's really just for the Jin calculation to calculate the correct course handicap for that person.
Correct. Yeah. And all this comes with the caveat. I mean, this is how it stands today. We're getting you guys caught up on the new features that we did over the fall and the winter. That doesn't necessarily mean that everything's going to stay here. You know, one question that we got is, does this link to the Golf Canada handicap system? Not quite yet, but we have heard loud and clear from many of you that that's something that you'd like to see. So we are working on it. We're trying to get it on our roadmap. It's not quite there yet, but we will keep you guys posted as things progress on that functionality.
And there was one more question from Richard about point quota in addition to a Stableford not currently. So just the stable for just the modify. You can modify what each individual, like birdie, par, bogey, like what the point value is for each one.
Correct. Correct. Okay,
So
cool. We'll give you guys a couple seconds if you have
any
any
other
other
Q&A?
questions that
Yeah.
you want to input. But while we do that, just want to quickly review. There are so many different ways you can get in touch with us if you need help. We try to give you every option under the sun so you can do what you prefer. If you want to just find answers for yourself, I know I'm that way. You can go to our knowledge base at support.gallusgolf.com. Has articles, videos, FAQs, all sorts of stuff. Yeah. So check that out for sure. You also notice in your dashboard, there's like at the top right of every page, there's a help button, and that takes you to the article in the knowledge base, which is cool. You can email us at support@gallusgolf.com. Give us a call at that number listed below. There's your manager login, and we also have there's a chat box in either the bottom left or right corner of every screen that you could be on at gallusgolf.com. So you can also, if you just want to really quickly get a question answered, you can do that too. So I think I forgot to put a slide in here about the next Pro Tips webinar, but the next one, as we mentioned, is going to be on our league software, which we are so excited to finally get out there for you guys in time for the season. That's going to be on Thursday, March 16th at the same time. Like Matt mentioned, if you registered for this one, then congratulations, you're registered for all of them. So we'll send you reminder emails for it. If you're watching this on YouTube right now and you want to get in on this action, there's a link below to register. Of course, if it hasn't passed yet, so you can do that as well. So look at that, a tight 29 minutes.
Bam. Look at us.
30 minutes or less. That's what we
Like
promised.
a machine. Like a machine.
We're delivering on that. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for swinging by. We hope that you found this tournament software summary helpful, and we're really excited to watch you guys just have a ton of success with it this season. So definitely give us a shout if you have any questions, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Next time, guys. Thanks.